Okay, so that's a little bit about NGSS. I want to just like 5 minutes about what's going on in California. And I know that most of you are not from California, but California is not the only state making progress like this. California has a blueprint for environmental literacy, which is what California calls an environmental literacy plan. Many states have environmental literacy plans, ELPs, and NAAE has like a list of all the states, and you can get links to your state's environmental literacy plan. But California recently developed an environmental literacy plan and has an environmental literacy steering committee which is charged by the State Department of Education for implementation of the blueprint. That's like an important little piece, is that we didn't just develop a blueprint and then put it on a shelf. There's a group that's responsible for implementation. And the blueprint in California says that we should be educating every California student in, about, and for the environment. And that's a staggering statement for a state the size of California. That really, every am I getting this right? Environmental literacy for every kid, like those words actually go together, and there's 6.3 million of them. So how are we going to get there with 6.3 million kids and 350,000 teachers in the state of California? So we developed like some operating principles. If we're going to shoot for all 6.3 million kids, we have to think about working at scale in ways that we've never been able to think about before. We can't think about delivering services to every one of those 6 million kids. We don't have the bandwidth to do that. We can grow our capacity, but we're never going to have the bandwidth in our community to work with 6.3 million kids. We have to think about other ways of reaching scale. We have to think about cultural relevance in communities of color, because the environmental ed community, which we've been talking about, has not always had resonance with the needs of communities of color. And so even if we create access to environmental ed, not every parent in every community of color values what we're doing enough to think that it's something that their kids need to have. So we need to find the intersection of our goals for environmental literacy with the needs and interests and concerns of communities of color. As we're going to scale, we can't forget about quality, because that's what NGSS is all about. If we're not delivering a quality service, then we can't claim that we're even playing a role in this system. And we think that school districts are the unit of change that we can work with. We can't work with 6 million kids. We cannot reach 350,000 teachers, but there's this kind of hierarchical structure around school districts. And school districts are the unit. Every school is part of a district, and the district makes decisions about standards, curriculum, assessments, professional learning, hiring and firing of personnel. You know, all the sort of command and control systems operate from the school district down through schools into classrooms. And if we can have influence at the district level, then we can influence every teacher to influence every kid. And along with those kind of operating principles, we have kind of a 3-part theory of change that we're using in California. This is the Environmental Literacy Steering Committee is working very systematically at all 3 of these levels simultaneously. We're trying to create a supportive statewide context for environmental education and environmental literacy, and we're doing that through passing legislation, messaging and marketing, and raising money. We've raised about $10 million in the last 2 years to implement the blueprint. It's like not nearly enough for a state the size of California, but it's like something. So this is really important to create a context in which educators have permission and are encouraged to pursue environmental literacy. And then we're trying to infuse environmental literacy into existing infrastructure throughout the state education system, so that we don't have to work with every teacher. Every teacher is going to get it whether we work with them or not, right? And that has to do with standards, curriculum, professional learning systems, assessments. We want environmental literacy baked into everything that comes out of our State Department of Education. And then this is the part where I think we can play as a community the biggest, most compelling role. that we need school districts that can step forward as leading edge exemplars, that can say, we have partners that have helped us to develop an environmental literacy plan. And we've decided with our partners that every 5th grader is going to go to outdoor school. Every 4th grader is going to go on a day-long field trip. Every 6th grader is going to, you know, et cetera, build out so that we have a plan for ensuring that every kid is going to get opportunities every year, indoors, in classrooms, and outside, in their community, in their garden, in wild, natural, inspiring places. From K through 12, they're going to have all those experiences, and we've got partners that are working with us and supporting it, and we want you to come and do videos and, you know, showcase the work we're doing. So if we have leading edge exemplars, that provides the motivation for incremental infusion. We need to have like the proof of concept for this work, and then you can't have teachers swimming upstream all the time. There has to be this kind of supportive context so that you don't have to be fighting against the system in order to do good things. So we're trying to work at all 3 levels.